Here is a painting by Claude Monet titled Wheat Sacks, Snow Effect, Morning, made in 1891. It is oil on canvas, currently residing at the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. Claude Monet is revered as the father of the Impressionist movement. He did so with his painting Impression, Sunrise, made in 1874. He was born in Paris in 1840 but was raised in the Normandy coast. He began painting when he was a young boy, often by using his neighbors, and teachers as subject matter. However, even when he displayed great interest in art, his father was against his pursuit of it. In 1858, Claude met Eugene Boudin, and he encouraged him to paint in plein air, which he took and was a defining characteristic of the Impressionists. During this time, the government controlled the art views, and the artworks were shown in the palace exhibition halls. It was hard to get into it, and their views were aligned with the classical views of art. Due to these circumstances, in 1874, the first exhibition for rejected works took place in the studio of photographer Nadar. Critics were very negative towards this style of painting. Even the term impression was used in a derogatory way to describe the lack of focus of the painter of their subject matter. Wolfman described it as, quote, bewildering alienation of the sign from the thing. This painting is also part of a series of paintings that are of the same subject. In total, there were 25 in the series. He painted the same wheat stack in different times of the year, different seasons of, of the year, different times of the day, and also different weather conditions. Contrary to the popular styles, which often refrain from using the same subject matter, Monet did so to emphasize the nuance of different color perceptions during different periods of the year and of the day. He wanted to showcase the differences in light and how they interact with vision and atmosphere influences. The painting composition is divided into three pieces: the ground, the mountains, and the sky. Monet here uses his iconic style of painting in which he uses quick brushstrokes with little definition. These paintings are meant to be looked up close. If done so, they become blurry with little definition. Since the lack of definition within his style is on purpose, the usage of lines are also defined very little, as he aims at the human eye to do the definition by, by successfully using color at the specific moment in time, combined with that perspective when looked from afar. The two main focuses of the painting rely on the usage of color and light. More specifically, he focuses on the effects that light has on color. He explores this through various times of the day, seasons of the year, and weather conditions. The most defined object in his painting is the wheat stack, and in this particular painting of the series, we see the wheat stacks during winter with snow around. This is where Monet shines with his style, and this is what's particularly meaningful towards the pushing the boundaries of art. Contrary to our popular belief that snow is white, we clearly see it painted by Monet as a little bit of blue, orange, red, and even black within the shadows. The painting further shows the time of the day being morning by giving a warm red and yellow all around. It can be seen in the wheat stacks themselves by being shaded in some spots by the same color. And then the background is also less defined, and the white shaded with other colors of the sun and the black mountains give a sense of the atmosphere being extremely early. A quote by Monet reflects his feelings towards the style of painting, saying, my only merit lies in having painted directly in front of nature, seeking to render my impression of the most fleeting effects. The importance of this quick, out in nature, less defined style changed the world of art. It went against the themes of the period, the schools of thought and art industry, and even the exhibitions themselves. His movement was also the precursor to the post-impressionist painters, which also took ideas and expanded upon them. He also influenced some of the greatest painters of modern times, like the following painter, Van Gogh, and his painting Lilies. Van Gogh was a Van Gogh was a painter who entered the artwork relatively late compared to his contemporary. He started painting at the age of 27. Born in the Netherlands in 1853, he was going to be a pastor since he came from a long lineage of religious figures. Compared to Claude Monet, he never received any formal training on painting and was only introduced to painting through his brother Theo, who worked in an art gallery. He had a troubled life and suffered from depression. It is believed that he suffered a brain injury early on, and throughout his life he suffered several maniac episodes and exhibited bipolar characteristics along with alcoholism. His short career only lasted about 10 years, and he lived a poor life, and it is said he lived off coffee and bread. In contrast, Monet did not receive in contrast to Monet, he did not receive his flowers while being alive, and only one painting was sold during the end of his life. He considered himself a failure. In 1888, he cut his own ear, although some people argue that it was rather from a fight with Paul Gauguin, but he took the blame for it. Finally, in 1899, he admitted himself in a mental hospital, and this is where this artwork, Irises, was created. Irises, made in 1899, is an oil and canvas painting currently residing at the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. This painting is part of a movement called Post-Impressionism, deriving from the Impressionist movement led by Monet. This later movement took the liberty of the Impressionists by exploring more vivid colors in non-classical manner and went further with the concept. Some works even give traits of abstraction. This painting was based off the flowers of the mental institution he resided at. We see the composition broken down into two major parts. On the top left side we see yellow flowers and a sole white flower towards the middle-ish. It serves as a parting point between the yellow and purple lilies. As he was inspired by Japanese woodblocks, he does outlines around the flowers, and he also uses quick, less defined brushstrokes derived from his contemporary Monet. This is clearly visible on the earth underneath the flowers, which is loosely defined and gains greater detail as one looks at the painting from afar. He took the mastery of light from the previous masters and used painting as his therapy. Today, this troubled man has paved the way for more abstract forms of painting. Monet actually got to see his painting and said, "How did a man who loved flowers and light to such extent, who rendered them so well, how did he still manage to be so unhappy?" Both of these artists and movements were pivotal points for future movements. Impressionism led to post-impressionism. This added a more emotional tone to the free use of colors in impressionism. The post-impressionist movement inspired the modern movement of art with abstraction, avant-garde, and cubism. And also, just to name a few artists that were influenced by the movement are Paul Cézanne, Matisse, Marcel Duchamp, and Jackson Pollock. It is clear that without these two artists, the world of art would not be the same.